I'm Nira Berry, life coach and your host of Happy and Healthy, where we explore and discover all the many ways of keeping you feeling happy and healthy. And remember to watch to the end for my Good to Know segment, where I've always got something good to share with you. So today, please welcome my guest, Bev Nerenberg. And Bev, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
And you're a certified emotional freedom techniques practitioner, as well as a founder and owner of Wellness at Your Fingertips.
Hi.
So I really appreciate you being here. And tell me a little bit about what emotional freedom technique is.
Sure. It actually is known more commonly as EFT tapping, because what we do is we tap. We tap with our fingertips on certain meridian points, and it is a self-administered healing technique that is based on modern psychology and ancient acupuncture. And what we do, it's people can learn how to do it themselves, which is what makes it so wonderful. It's good for any negative emotion, any physical aches or pains, anything that doesn't feel good. You literally would just tap on some, it looks a little funny, by the way. You tap on some meridian points and talk about the issue that you want to work on, and you can get relief in literally in minutes. It's very effective, it's very easy to learn, and it's quick. So that's what tapping is.
Wow, it sounds almost like too good to be true.
I know.
Like because it's almost like stupid easy. That's
right.
Because it sounds like it accomplishes so much in such an easy technique, and so I've always been really fascinated by it.
Yes.
And so I'm just curious, how did you get into this?
Well, I'll tell you that in 1 second, but one thing I want to mention is that it's based on the energy of our body. Everything in the universe is energy. And so it's very different than what we do in Western medicine here, and that's why it just works very differently. And so we'll do it a little bit later.
Yeah, we're going to demonstrate for everybody.
And people can really tap along and see what it's like for them.
Yeah.
So let me see. In back in 1993, I'll make the backstory pretty quick. I had some issues with my thumbs were really hurting me a lot, and I didn't know what was the matter with them. But I had heard about acupuncture, this thing called acupuncture. So I decided to go try that and see if it could help my thumbs. And I was referred to a wonderful woman, and I went, and in one visit she had my thumb stopped hurting. They had hurt for about a year. And she also handled an issue with my circulation. My hands and feet used to fall asleep. So that really interested me. And the second time I went to her, I told her that I was in business with my husband, with my kids, and I was building a house, and I was pretty crazy. So I told her that
you were overwhelmed.
You
felt overwhelmed.
Yes, to say the least. So I told her I was angry a lot, and she said, well, you have some stagnant energy around your liver. And she treated my liver by putting needles in, and I became like a different person. It was amazing. So the bottom line is that I went to her every single month for over 20 years. And stayed healthy. I stayed very healthy and centered. It was really remarkable. So in 2008, I got a couple of emails about this technique called Emotional Freedom Techniques, and it was based on acupuncture. Since I was a fan, I decided to get the documentary, and I was amazed by it, just amazed, and I wanted to learn all about it. So I downloaded a free manual from online, and we were going on a cruise to the Mediterranean, and I just thought, I'm going to take all this stuff and I'm going to learn about it. So my first experience with it was, the first tour we were going to be on was to Cinque Terre, Italy, where I had to walk up this path along the side of a mountain. Do you know where Cinque Terre, Italy is? So I had to walk up this path. Well, I don't do mountains. I have this intense fear of heights.
Oh.
And so I thought, well, let me just do what I remember from the documentary. I hadn't read the manual or anything. And I started to tap, even though I'm panicky about going up that mountain. I'm so panicky about this. I'm so scared. I don't know what's going to happen. How am I going to do? Just talked about whatever was going on in my head. And we get to the base of the mountain, and I start walking up, and I have no anxiety, and I'm walking further and further and further. And I got to the top, and I just wasn't the least bit upset or nervous. They had a pipe railing there, and I kind of inched over to that and leaned over, and it's like, It was a miracle. It's absolutely a miracle.
And so you felt that
Oh my
EFT,
gosh,
the
it's
tapping
amazing.
really
My husband
helped
even
you.
said, with 2 more of those, he's going to call the Pope. Because it really was just incredible. That
And that was like the first time that you really
first,
did it.
yes, and I
You
hadn't
probably
even
weren't
read the
even
note.
doing it 100%. You know,
It was amazing. It was really amazing. So also on that trip, I had a fever blister that started to come out, and they said in the documentary, try it on everything. So I tapped
On
about
everything
my
and anything.
and yes, and it didn't come out. I fell. I hurt my leg on the deck of the ship, and I tapped, and it stopped hurting.
Wow.
We were with some friends. I got angry about something. I tapped, and I stopped being angry, and that was my first experience that first week. So I came home just really a tapping maniac.
It sounds so amazing because it's something that can help with so much.
Yes.
And so I'm surprised that we don't hear about it more often.
Well, it's really getting much more popular, very
Yeah.
popular. As a matter of fact, I teach it at Cleveland Clinic. I've been teaching it there since 2013. People who are into holistic approaches, some alternative, open to things like that. Acupuncture now,
Yeah.
even insurance will pay for that.
So
Which-
does this get covered through insurance?
This doesn't. This
Yeah.
doesn't. People can use like a health service account or something like
But
that. But acupuncture, a lot of insurances will cover that. So
And this is something that's really been acknowledged, especially recently in the scientific world.
Absolutely.
It's been approved for like the veterans.
it
right?
has. It has been approved by the Veterans Administration as a relatively safe technique to use for PTSD.
That's
for
a very big deal.
Yes, it is a big deal because it needed
Yeah.
a lot of scientific and clinical evidence.
Yeah, for them to approve
exactly.
that. That's,
So there's a lot of that in case we have any science people in the audience.
And the
who want
Nurses
that.
Association as well.
The American Nurses Association has a brand new challenge called Healthy Nurse, Healthy Nation. They know that the nurses are really one of the most stressed.
Yeah, it's a hard job.
It is a hard job.
So this is a great way for them
So yes,
to
we
relieve their
are
stress.
now partners with American Nurses Association. They're going to be able to learn it online.
Wow.
And make themselves feel better quickly.
Yeah. So when you came back and you were really amazed by how it worked,
Yeah.
this was something that you've seen through the years that you've worked with people. Do you give any examples of some people that?
Sure,
And
absolutely.
and how long does it take to work?
It's pretty fast. Minutes. It can be minutes.
Yeah.
Hopefully, when we demonstrate it later, there will be people who will really feel some results.
Yeah.
But my first experience when I came back was I went to a seminar and met a friend of mine and said, I just discovered this really remarkable healing technique. And she asked me a little bit about it, and she said, well, I have this pain in it goes from my hip down to my knee. I've had it for a long time. You think it'll help? I have no idea. Let's do it. So we were in a hotel lobby, and I just tapped with her, and her pain went away. This was 2008, this happened, and it never came back. Now it happens sometimes. They
Yeah.
call them 1-minute miracles. It doesn't happen all the time. But pretty much on a very regular basis, people can get relief from whatever it is that's going on with them.
Well, let's say if they have a fear of something,
Okay.
like let's say you had a fear of
Of
the
heights,
anxiety of
yes.
heights, or I know many people who have a fear of flying. They get very anxious on a plane,
Yes.
and so would this be something that they would have to do, let's say every day, once a week, once a month? Like how many times would they have to do it?
Good question.
Is it permanent?
Good question. Very good question.
I want to know.
It depends. It depends. Sometimes it can be once and it's over. I haven't actually gone someplace high again, so
Yeah.
I don't know how I would feel if I did it. But for example, well, let me see. I have so many examples that I could give you. I've had people who have had pains for a long. It doesn't matter how long
Yeah.
you have a pain. There's a woman who was in her 80s who had rheumatoid arthritis for years.
Yeah, there's many
always
people.
had pain in her shoulders, and we tapped about it, and the pain went away. Now, whether it stayed cleared up, I don't know. But for myself, when something doesn't feel right for me, that's my first go-to thing. I always just tap about it, and I get relief. Sometimes I've had some issues where I've had to tap you know, for a few times. You know, it'll come back the next day, and I'll tap again, but then it just really has disappeared.
And so people don't need to necessarily tap with you. Like once they learn how to do it, this is something they can do on their own, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. The thing that I caution people is to not handle anything that's really a very, very big traumatic incident. That if they may have had something in their childhood, if they were abused, if they have a severe disorder, you know, bipolar or something like that, I wouldn't recommend that they try and tackle that themselves, that they really be with a professional
like you
to help them, like me or someone else is absolutely fine. So there was, I had a client who was in her 80s, and she had a relationship with her granddaughter that she was pretty upset about. She as a child was heavy, this woman, or she thought she was heavy, and her granddaughter was gaining weight, and every time her granddaughter would visit her, it was all about food. It was all about, why are you eating that? It was upsetting for her. It was upsetting for her granddaughter. Neither one of them looked forward to the visit, which of course was such a shame.
Yeah.
So we tapped about it, and I asked her what it was like when she was a child. And she shared about, and we tapped the whole time she talked about this, that she was heavy, she got bullied, she didn't want her granddaughter to go through any of the things that she went through. And what happened was, what happens with incidences like that is they really get stuck in our energy system. And so she had all these traumatic memories from her past. And so we just tapped all that out. Really tap it out of your energy system. We break up energy blockages, which is what happens in EFT. And she just felt very relieved and really great. And her granddaughter was coming to visit, so I called her the day before. I asked her if she needed a little emergency tapping. She said she feels good. She feels ready. So the bottom line is that she just absolutely transformed her relationship with her. She didn't bring it up. She said, I just looked at her beautiful face instead of having anything to do with her body.
That's
and
lovely.
It really was just a wonderful, wonderful outcome.
So this technique is something that you can use for something to help you move forward in your relationships and for pain management, for stress, anxiety, for so many different things. And so we're going to hear more about it. And we're also we're actually going to experience the EFT, and we're going to have a demonstration where you can follow along and be part of it. So we're going to take a short break now, and so make sure you come right back. I'm Nerenberg, your host of Happy and Healthy.
Hart, what's going on?
I'm leaving.
Why? What did I do?
Not enough. You constantly ignore me. You barely eat anything healthy. You're half as active as you used to be. The pressure is just too much. I quit.
Okay, I get it. I'll do better. Just please, don't leave.
Okay. But remember, if I go, you go.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
Hi, welcome back. I'm Nerenberg, your host of Happy and Healthy. And we're speaking today with Bev Nerenberg about EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique. And now Bev is actually going to help us understand how it works, and we're going to actually demonstrate, and where people can actually follow along as well, right? People at home can learn how to do it.
Yes.
So,
okay, let's do it. So what I'd like everybody to do is to just think of something that maybe if you have a pain someplace in your body, you can kind of focus on that. Or if you're not having any pain, maybe a petty annoyance, maybe something that happened that you're upset about, angry at somebody, something like that. Just something, some emotion that doesn't feel good.
Okay.
So, and then what I want you to do.
I can think of that.
Okay, great. And I'm going to have you be my echo. Just repeat after me, and then everybody can repeat after me as well. And you can repeat silently. They can repeat silently if they choose to. And as we're doing it, I'll show you where the tapping points are. And rate your issue in terms of intensity from 0 to 10. For example, if you have no intensity whatsoever, so that's a 0, pick something with some intensity, and really if you have excruciating pain, it would be a 10. Or if you're really so angry you're going to just want to kill somebody, that would be a 10.
Yeah.
So just sort of rate it. That's what they do in hospitals for pain and things
Right.
like
You have
that.
to circle those smiley faces or frown faces.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're going to do that. So you have something in mind?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good. And what would your number be in terms of intensity?
I would say this is an 8.
Okay, so that's pretty intense.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll see what happens. So if everybody will just join along, what we're going to do, and I'll repeat one more time, this is a funny looking thing. It looks a
Yeah.
little funny, it sounds funny, but basically what we're doing is we're breaking up energy blockages. When you have anything that doesn't feel good, if you have any kind of negative emotion or physical aches or pains, you have some kind of disruption in your energy system.
And can you explain what that energy
Sure,
system is? I know
absolutely.
that there's meridians. Can you explain that?
Very
to
good,
Most,
yes.
Most people are not familiar with that.
Okay, so many, many years ago, 5,000 years ago, in China, they discovered a system of meridians, which are pathways along which energy flows. They call the energy qi, is one term they used. And when that gets disrupted, then we have things that don't feel very good for us, like negative emotions or pains. And our body's natural tendency is really to be well. And so when we keep our energy flowing and unstuck, because that's what happens in certain cases, it just gets stuck someplace, then our body's tendency is really to be well. And when we don't feel good, we're in some degree of fight or flight or freeze. I'm sure you've heard about that.
Yeah.
And so we want to get basically from the stress response to the relaxation response. And that's what tapping does for us. It allows us to get to a relaxation response very quickly by calming the limbic part of our brain, which is our stress center, basically. And it just calms it, and we feel better. But you'll be able to experience it yourself once we do this.
And these meridians, they're same points that you use in acupuncture, right?
Yes, we use a certain amount of them on the face and upper body.
With no needles.
With no needles, right, exactly.
Makes it
So
a
we just
lot
use our
easier.
fingertips.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Let's tap.
Let's get started.
So here's what we're going to do first, and this is the modern psychology aspect. We don't have enough time to really get into a lot about it, but so we'll
Sure.
just do it and just repeat after me. We're going to tap gently. You can use either side of your body. You can use either hand, and just gently tapping and say, even though I have this issue,
Even though I have this issue,
I accept myself anyway.
I accept myself anyway.
And we'll say that 3 times. Even though I have this issue,
Even though I have this issue,
I totally accept myself.
I totally accept myself.
One more time. Even though I have this issue,
Even though I have this issue,
I accept myself and how I feel.
I accept myself and how I feel.
Perfect. Now we're going to start at the top of the head and just one hand open, tap lightly, and say a reminder phrase. So we're going to say this issue.
Okay.
Just say this issue.
This issue.
Good. The next spot is right where the hair starts on your eyebrow. Right on the front of in your eyebrow point, and we say this issue.
This issue.
Good. Next spot is right in the corner of the eye. This issue.
This issue.
I'm keeping this very, very simple by saying the same thing all the way down. We don't always do this, but we'll just see what happens when we just, it's a no-brainer. Just repeat the same thing. So we'll say this issue.
This issue.
Good. That's right on your cheekbone. Perfect. Underneath the nose, this issue.
This issue.
Good. And we call this the chin point, but it's right in that crack.
Oh, here.
This issue.
This issue.
Very good. Next is called the collarbone point, but if you kind of scrunch up your neck like that, your collarbone will come out, and you want to be in the depression right underneath the collarbone, right here. This issue.
This issue.
Very good. The next spot is under your arm, kind of for women. It's right around the bra line, and we just tap there and say this issue.
This issue.
Okay, and the last one we're going to do, because we have meridians in all the finger points, and some of them flow along the top of the arm and some flow along the bottom, if we take the top of one wrist and just tap it on the top of the other wrist and say this issue.
This issue.
And we take a deep breath. And that's one round of tapping. So now we just check in and see how we feel. So you were an 8, and just let me know what your number is now. Has anything changed? Up, down,
Well, I feel a lot more relaxed.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like my body's just like, ah.
Okay.
Like I feel
Good.
a lot more relaxed.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, that's a very common thing. So what would you give your issue now? What number would you give it?
So I can still think about it,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't have as much of a reaction to it. I would say like it's probably been reduced to a 3.
Wow. From an 8 to a 3.
Yeah.
That's fabulous.
Like it didn't make it go away.
Yes.
You know,
Well-
but I still think about it, but it's definitely reduced.
You said a phenomenal thing. That's great. That's terrific. So what we could do actually, but I think given the limited amount of time, I think we won't go into that, but you could just repeat it and say this remaining issue. This remaining issue. You can use 2 hands if you'd like, this remaining issue. So, but you got down very low, and I hope the
Yeah.
people watching also got some relief from it. That's terrific.
That was wonderful.
It is. And what I wanted to say, and it's a perfect example for post-traumatic stress, is that what this does is that you still can have the memory of what happened, except the emotional reaction is very different. That's exactly what you just explained.
So if somebody
right now.
had an incident, or whether or not it was a veteran at war, or somebody had some serious traumatic incident,
Yes.
that that's what you're referring to for PTSD, that if they do this, then it won't make them forget about it, but it'll just reduce their reaction to it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's terrific.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So let's just go over just what the different points are again. It's
Okay.
the top
Well,
of the
first
head.
we do what we
okay.
call the karate chop on the side of the hand.
And does it matter
like
which
this.
hand?
It does not matter which hand, and you can use both hands, and then you can, and
then you
the
tap
point
the
is the
top
top
of
of
the
the
head.
head, and then you can use both hands if you want. The beginning of the eyebrow, the side of the eye, right in the corner of the eye.
All right here.
Right there, yes. Right
And
in the
as you're
corner.
saying it, you're saying what the issue is, what the problem is. Like not
Exactly.
just repeating what the issue is. We're
Right.
saying that
Well,
just
we'll
to be
just-
generic, you know.
So let's
Yeah.
just keep saying this issue.
Yeah.
This remaining issue.
And then the
under
top
the
of the
eye,
cheekbone.
tip of the cheekbone, under the nose,
Under the nose.
and right in the crevice of the chin.
Yeah.
And then the collarbone point
Right
right
underneath
here.
the collarbone, right?
Right underneath
Right.
the collarbone in the depression there.
Yeah.
And lots of people, when you see online, they'll just take a hand
Yeah.
like this or make a fist and do
Oh,
this.
okay.
But I like to actually hit the points there.
Okay.
And then you can go underneath
Okay.
the side. Yes, make it even look funnier. Look
Yeah.
like a little monkey or a chicken. And then the wrist points here. Like that. And so when people are, even if you're in public, you know, you could even just do this with your wrist, you know, you could do these. What you want to do is just stimulate the points. And you know what's interesting? If you've ever seen people say,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, you know, or like this, we kind of naturally touch places like that kind of make us feel better.
You know, I just started noticing that.
Yes.
I just was paying attention. I was watching a show or something on TV, and I noticed that, you know, people went like that, or people went, and I was paying attention that those are actually some of those meridian points.
Yes.
That we
I wanted-
naturally know how to comfort ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention something since we brought up the Nurses Association. It's so wonderful when nurses can use this, not only for their own stress, which of course their jobs are very, very stressful, not only what they do in hospitals or doctor's offices, but their own personal lives as well. So this is just phenomenal for them. There was a nurse at Cleveland Clinic who had a patient who had to have surgery, and the man, excuse me, he was so petrified about it. And he was a 10 or higher, you know, she said.
Oh, wow.
And she started tapping with him, and he went down to a 0. You know, he went from a level 10 in anxiety down to a 0 and just went through the surgery and just recovered as expected, you know. So to give people the ability to do something like this for themselves is phenomenal.
They should
Do we
have
have
this
time for another story?
Sure.
Okay.
But this is really something that everybody should do before any procedure.
Oh,
you know, it's very
absolutely.
scary. Sometimes people even have an issue with getting blood drawn.
Yes,
But
yes.
especially before surgery, I imagine that there must be some kind of connection if you go into it relaxed, that, you know.
Oh, yes. It's always better
Yeah.
to feel good and not upset
Yeah.
and stressed. I mean, when you're feeling stressed and your body is in that state, that people get sick. because of things like that, you know?
Right. I mean, there's definitely been scientific studies showing how the connection between stress and illness.
Absolutely.
And people do develop diseases if they're, I mean, it's one thing to be stressed for a short time, but for long term,
Yes,
people get into that mode, their adrenaline's up all the time, cortisol levels are very high and causes inflammation. I mean, it's just not healthy to begin with.
You're a natural for this. No, it's absolutely right.
Yeah, so this is really a good technique to be able to reduce your stress, even if you don't have something very specific, but there's always something going on in life, right?
There is, especially these days, there really is.
Yeah.
And actually, this is used all over the world in where they have natural disasters, which of course we've had so many.
Yeah.
Ooh, I have a wonderful story that just happened today, if I could do this.
Sure.
EFT Universe is the largest EFT site in the world, and Dawson Church is the person who runs it, and he was my mentor, and he certified me in this technique. He lives in Sonoma Valley, and EFT Universe offices are there. And last Monday, he had the fires were just sweeping through his area, and they woke up at 1:30 in the morning and just had to leave. They just could see the fires coming. So the bottom line is that, I mean, they grabbed his laptop, their cell phones, and he and his wife left. And their house, the only thing remaining was a stone fireplace. Lost absolutely everything, including the EFT Universe office. Oh, it was awful. So they went to some friends, you know, they fled, but he had a commitment for over a year to be the final keynote at an energy psychology conference in Vancouver. And his kids sprang into action because he didn't have a passport. He didn't have any clothes. I mean, absolutely nothing. So, but he was going to that conference. After the keynote, he was teaching an EFT course Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So today is...
Well,
okay, so it's ending today. So he just wrote this email, and I just want to read it. It's very quick. He said, "We're having a magical workshop in Vancouver, Canada." I'll post some pictures. "It's a little weird to be traveling and teaching so soon after the fire, but this is my life's work. The conference gave me an award, and people were amazed to see me laughing, a living testament to the effectiveness of our trauma treatments."
Yeah.
So he lost absolutely everything, you know, and just stayed calm and centered and managed to just get up there and produce the results that he did.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very effective thing. And for kids, little kids, just terrific. They don't even think it looks funny.
Yeah, so tell me more, like, about how would you have children do it? Like, at what age? And
kids can do it. There are different ways they could do it. You could just do something like this. They could just, there are different things that they could do. I taught my little granddaughter when she was 3. And she used to say, "I have a tummy ache." And then she'd go like this, and she'd say, "I feel all better." I have a great children's story, though. I took her to...
So even at 3, that's amazing.
Yes.
So this has been really wonderful, and I really appreciate you sharing all this really great information. So if they wanted to find out more about your website, or to, you know, would that have like information on how to reach you and about EFT?
Oh, sure.
Okay, so so tell us what your website is.
It's wellnessatyourfingertips.com.
Yeah.
And I have useful sites on there, useful links,
that
and I have a how to tap,
right?
So people could even learn how to tap.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, because people can just even follow along through some of your links and learn how to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So I thank you so much, Bev, for sharing all your wonderful knowledge, and I hope that that our viewers will start doing this, because it really is something so helpful. It's a really good skill and a tool to use in life when we need it.
Yes.
So I thank you very much for being my guest today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So thank you so much. I'm Nera Berry, your host of Happy and Healthy, and stay tuned for our Good to Know segment, where I share with you what's good to know. I'm Nira Berry, life and happiness coach, and your host of Happy and Healthy. And now I'm going to share with you what's good to know. And you know what's good to know is about sleeping. Yes, you may say, oh, Nira, like a lot of my clients say, oh, Nira, I sleep well, I'm okay. They say, oh, I sleep like a baby. And I'm like, oh, really? Does that mean you're up every 15 minutes? Like sleeping like a baby, get it? Ha, ha, ha. So seriously, sleep is actually a very important part of healthy lifestyle and actually our health in general. Do you know that if you don't get enough sleep, like good quality sleep, that it may affect your health. It may affect heart disease, may raise your high blood pressure. It may affect your level of being able to focus, your energy level. It just might make you grouchy, right? So with sleep, good quality sleep can reduce high blood pressure, can really help you heal, because sleeping is healing and soothing to our body, and it's a time for our body to rejuvenate. And so many of my life coach clients ask me, well, how do I get good quality sleep? And so I've developed certain techniques. And one of them is, first of all, to have a goal in mind. Like, what's your goal? Like, what time do you want to really be sleeping by? And so let's say, for instance, if 12 midnight is your time, so I would say start a few hours earlier. For instance, at 8 o'clock, you might want to stop eating because, your gut has a bed curfew. And I would say avoid alcohol because even though alcohol might make you sleepy, it actually wakes you up in the middle of the night. So one of the things is to have a relaxing bedtime routine and to really start unwinding, like maybe about 10 o'clock. And maybe you can start dimming the lights in your home, maybe take away any electronics, and maybe turn off your cell phone. And don't have anything that's really conflicting or anything that's really will cause you to have anxiety. Like maybe skip that horror movie or really scary book and maybe read a relaxing book. Maybe meditate. Or how about if you even take a bath with Epsom salts? That's been really shown to relax you. So try those techniques and let me know how that works for you, if it helps you get a good night's sleep. I hope it does. So I'm Nira Berry, the happiness coach, and you can reach me at happyandhealthy@mmctv.org. I'm Nira Berry, your host of Happy and Healthy, and I look forward to hearing from you and hopefully you'll have a great day ahead.